Hello and welcome to the news on the hour as brought to you from the Anglican Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN Television. I am Rachel Ebunu. The Christian faithful in Nigeria have received a moral boost as they are called upon to stand firm on their faith in the face of persecution, corruption, false teachings, amongst other vices that are contending with the Christian faith in the contemporary age. This call was made by the diocesan bishop on the Niger, the Right Reverend Owen Chidozie Nwokolo, during the opening worship of the first session of the 31st Synod of the Diocese on the Niger, holding at the Ascension Anglican Church, Onitsha, Anambra State. ACNN correspondent Charles Philip Uwakolam was there and has the full story.
The first session of the 31st Synod of the Diocese on the Niger Anglican Communion, hosted by the Ascension Anglican Church, Odume, Onitsha, Anambra State, is one to reckon with, as the opening worship for the Synod featured a very colorful and elated people celebrating and appreciating God. The Synod theme says, "Stand firm in the faith," taken from the book of 1 Corinthians 16 verse 13. The Bishop, the Right Reverend Owen Nwokolo, speaking to ACNN crew, gave an insight on the reason behind the theme.
And that is very important to us at this time in the country. For Christians, sometimes there are people among us who compromise, who are deceived, and who are carried away by waves of doctrine. Corruption is not only found in the society, it's also oftentimes seen among Christians. And it is not something that we will accommodate. That's why we are charging our diocese and Christians everywhere to stand firm in their faith and not allow anything whatsoever, whether teachings from people who claim to be Christians but who have derailed, even friends who try to deceive or corrupt what we have as the faith of the fathers.
Earlier in the service, Archbishop Emmanuel Ebunu of Lokoja Diocese, while delivering his sermon, said that the church can no longer depend on the Christian politicians to deliver the church from persecution.
Standing firm meant to put your life on the line to defend the people and the purposes of God. There is so much heartlessness, so much impunity and wickedness with which the church is being attacked in this nation, and it is unthinkable. So much evil being unleashed. And when I'm talking about this, I'm not just talking about the terrorists and the Muslims, but even the traditionalists who are waging war against authentic Christianity. We cannot depend on Christian politicians to fight this battle, because some of our politicians, indeed most of them, are only relevant to the church with their money. When they care to give, they are not so relevant with their faith. And the kinds of policies that have been foisted on us will make us wonder if we have church-going, Bible-believing, and Bible-reading Christians who have the mind of Queen Esther, knowing that they are in their positions for such a time as this.
Some highlights of the service include a very warm and colorful reception to the bishop by the Ascension Archdeacon, amongst others. In Odume, Onitsha, Anambra State, Charles Philip Uwakolam, ACNNTV News.
The Anglican Bishop of the West, Bishop Felix Orji, has stated that the aim of leadership is protection of citizens and creating orderliness in the country. He maintained that political leaders are not carrying out their duties efficiently and advised them to discharge their duties as they ought to. Bishop Orji, in an interview with ACNN news correspondent in Abuja, made this statement where he stressed that though there is still existence of good leaders in the country, But the leaders, however, expect to be served and not to serve others.
The reason why God has given political leaders to any country is to help make sure there is order, to make sure there is order, to make sure that the citizens are protected. So it is the responsibility of our political leaders in Nigeria to protect people who are vulnerable. And in my opinion, the political leaders in this country are not doing their job well. They need to get to it and make sure that our people are protected. And sometimes in protecting those who are weak, you have to put down those who are evil. That's what Romans chapter 13 says. The political leaders are servants of God to protect those who are in trouble. And sometimes they have to use the sword to protect those who are in trouble.
Speaking on the way to improve a good leadership pattern, the cleric outlined ways to create a change in leadership pattern as he called on church leaders of all denominations and category to consider the interests of their followers, noting that preaching without practicing what is preached would only yield negative results.
In our country, Nigeria, our country, there are pockets of people who are servant leaders. I'm sure there are some of them, but there are not many, because part of our culture exalts power, strength, position. So serving is not a very it's not something that we expect of our leaders. We expect people to serve them. In Nigeria, leaders expect to be served instead of serving other people. So the way to change that is to talk about it. Talk about it as we are doing. And the more we talk about it, the more people understand that concept. It's a foreign concept, especially African cultures. It's a very foreign, So that's one. Secondly, servanthood is a Christian virtue, and in the Western world, even though a lot of people, leaders are not Christians, but it's part of the culture to serve because of the Christendom. In Nigeria, we're going to keep preaching, keep talking about it, and then thirdly, model, bishops of the Church of Nigeria, bishops of the Methodist Church, bishops of the Roman Catholic Church need to model servant leadership. There's no need preaching it and not doing it. Politicians will look at it and say, you're hypocrites. You're telling us to serve, but you're not serving. So as a bishop of the church, I'm asking myself, how am I serving my clergy? How am I serving the lay people in my church? Not just preaching about it. See, so leadership is like parenting. If you keep telling your children, do this, do that, and they watch you, you're not doing it, they'll do what you're doing, not what you're saying to them. So the preachers, the bishops themselves need to think about what is in the best interest of my people, and serve them. And then they can talk to the politicians to serve.
Meanwhile, following the election and inauguration of the 9th National Assembly, senators and House of Representative members have been called upon by the Anglican clergymen to carry their faith and Christian values into their various offices, bearing in mind that people who voted them in will be expecting them to deliver on their campaign promises. Speaking to the ACNN crew in Onitsha, Anambra State, the Most Reverend Emmanuel Egbunu, Anglican Bishop of Lokoja, reminded them that making Nigeria work will be achieved through work and not by mere words.
It's not enough to keep saying we want to make Nigeria a great country and not take practical steps towards that. So for those who have come in, they should keep their campaign promises. It shouldn't be that they said one thing during the campaigns and the people believed that they would do it, and then when they come in, they do something else. If we all join hands together to make Nigeria what it ought to be, we all take responsibility for some of our failures, and we must all also be stakeholders in the greatness that we look forward to. The
Bishop of the Diocese on the Niger, Right Reverend Owen Nwokolo, also used that opportunity to remind Christian National Assembly members not to shy away from their faith.
We find that in this country, the Muslim appears to stand firm in what they believe. They carry their religion into what they do or day to day. But some Christians shy away from their responsibilities as Christians. They think that being in the house is for personal reasons. But everywhere, Christians are supposed to be the light of the gospel and ensure that they defend the gospel in the house and propagate those laws that will benefit the country so that this country will move away from the false and very ugly impressions that is held about us all over the world.
Christians have been admonished to hold on to their salvation tenaciously because salvation can be lost if one is not careful on how they live their life. This was the admonition of the Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Jalingo, the Right Reverend Foreman Nedison, during his sermon at the Media Revival Program of St. Matthew's Anglican Church, Maitama, Abuja, with the theme Joy of Salvation. ACNN News correspondent Nwanne Ogechukwu has the detail.
Don't allow the devil to take away your salvation from you because it can be lost. Connection comes, connection goes, but salvation is the ultimate.
Revival, a time of seeking the face of the Lord, a time for the fresh outpour of the Holy Spirit, a time of restoration, a time when sons and daughters of God come together to renew their commitment to their Master and to find their beauty. It is on this background that St. Matthew's Anglican Church Maitama, in their annual Media Revival Program, gathered together to seek the face of the Almighty for their lives, families, the church, and the nation. During his sermon, the Diocesan Bishop of Jalingo, the Right Reverend Foreman Nedison, urged Christians to connect with people who can feel their fire and enthusiasm for God.
Connect with people who can fuel your fire. The company you keep determines what you absorb. The difference between the Bible and other books is that the Bible carries power for performance. As you study it, you are empowered to do what you are studying. The place of prayer is the place of relating with God, and relationship with God affects your attitude. And the place of prayer is the place of seeking the face of God, and what you look at determines what you look like. As we behold it, the same righteousness that is inside him enter inside us.
He also urged them to hold on to the end, stressing that no man serves God and is left unfulfilled.
Although things are not working in the country, I have made up my mind never to put my hand in the division. Let us make a stand for God, and we will never regret it. You are responsible for the preservation of your salvation.
It was a time of singing, dancing, praising God, and also a time of intense intercession and prophetic declaration. Nwanne Ogechukwu, ACNN News.
The management of the University of Ibadan, UI, has insisted that their cut-off mark remains 200. This comes a day after the Joint Admission Matriculation Board, JAMB, and stakeholders of higher institutions agreed on 160. UI, on its part, said it will have nothing to do with the national minimum cut-off mark. This has been the position of the Senate of the university since the matriculation examinations into Nigeria universities commenced in 1978. In a statement by the office of its Vice Chancellor, Professor Idowu Olayinka, the institution said for the avoidance of doubts in the mind of prospective admission seekers, their parents and guardians, alumni and alumni, and the general public, the minimum mark for any course at the University of Ibadan and all its affiliated institutions remain 200 out of the maximum of 400. News on the hour will be right back after this short break. Please stay with us.
At the King's Court is a program where we worship and praise the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords through various musical renditions. So join me, Eucharia Ozovehe, at the King's Court every Tuesday by 6 p.m. on this station, and it promises to be exciting and rewarding.
Getting the best hospitality and affordable luxury is what we guarantee at our guest houses right in the heart of Abuja. Decent guest houses that offer surpassing services such as 24-hour room service, constant power supply, decent non-smoking environment, parking lot, laundry service, multi-purpose hall, mini-mart, restaurant services, spacious room at affordable rate. For reservation, book online at www.anglicanguesthousesabuja.com or locate us at All Saints Guest House, 29 Tamale Street, Wuse Zone 3, Abuja. Telephone 0806 699 5823 or 0805 285 5092 or Church Guest House, 24 Douala Street, Wuse Zone 5, Abuja. Telephone 0816-860-7024 or 0805-677-3815.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or youtube.com/ACNNTV. And to be up to date with our news and other programs, download the ACNN app for Android from Google Play Store. And now to the international scene. The Archbishop of Hong Kong, His Grace the Most Reverend Wong Paul, has called for respect for the rule of law and for protesters to trust the Beijing-controlled city government to be fair and just. According to him, he understands that the purpose of the Fugitive Offenders and Mutual Legal Assistance in Criminal Matters Legislation Amendment Bill 2019 is to plug the loopholes in our current legislation. However, this proposed amendment, he says, has caused heated debate and deep-seated uneasiness and worries that have resulted in violent conflicts, thus dividing the society. He therefore appealed to all parties concerned, those who are against and those who are pro the amendment, to immediately calm down and to return to reasons in discussing how to resolve the dispute so as to avoid causing further chaos to the society, and also hope that people from all sectors, especially young people, to express their demands through legal and legitimate channels and means, and not to resort to illegal means, because illegal means will harm not only those who resort to it, but also those who love them and their beloved, and the society as a whole. The Archbishop called on all Christians to pray for the stability and prosperity of Hong Kong and for a perfect resolution to the dispute. And now to sports news. Manchester United are ready to make David De Gea an improved offer in a bid to keep him at Old Trafford beyond June 2020. De Gea, who is being targeted by Paris Saint-Germain, recently turned down a 5-year United contract worth £350,000 a week. Negotiations over a new deal have been ongoing for 18 months, but appeared to have stalled. It led to speculations that United were prepared to pay the Spaniard millions to leave in the summer in order to avoid him leaving for free. next year. De Gea reportedly earns £240,000 a week, half of what teammate Alexis Sanchez takes home, although he had a difficult second half of last season, making a number of errors as United missed out on a top 4 finish. De Gea remains a key player for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp will be willing to sacrifice Mohamed Salah if it meant landing Lille forward Nicolas Pepe. Pepe has been subject of one bid from Liverpool already, but the League One outfit do not deem it enough. It is believed that Lille have received 2 other offers for Ivorian forward. However, Klopp wants the player, and due to an increasingly complicated relationship with Salah, will be willing to see the Egyptian sold if it allows the Red to land Pepe. Both men reportedly clashed last season while Liverpool was trying to win both the Premier League and Champions League, and eventually won the latter, defeating Tottenham 2-0 in the final. And that's it on the news on the hour. Thank you for watching. I am Rachel Ibunu.